Just gonna be a short Facebook Live video and just an introduction. It's my first Facebook Live. But as we all know what's going on in the Gambia, so I guess it's just prudent for us to kind of talk to each other, give each other hope and encourage each other that, you know, these things are gonna come to an end. At some point, you know, we have to have to come to a head in events like we have in the Gambian situation. So basically that's why I decided I'll come on Facebook. So much to talk about, and you know, it usually ends up in a rant, so much to be mad about because of one guy. Good to see you too, Keba, a long time. So like I said, we all grew up, hey Bob, we all grew up in this little Gambia, knowing each other, loving and caring for each other, and it breaks people's hearts to see that people are running away from the country, going into neighboring, you know, Senegal, some people going into the interior of the country just because of one man's selfishness, and that is a sad reality. You know, you cannot tell people to sit down because the man is unpredictable. We don't know what he is going to do, and people don't want to be in the line of fire. You know, life is too precious for that. So it breaks people's hearts, especially those of us that are away. You know, you talk to people on the ground and they're scared. They have every right to be scared. You know, it's an uncertain situation and nobody knows where it's going to lead to. So obviously, you know, those that are running away don't need to feel bad either, because, you know, you're trying to preserve your life, which is the first thing to do. But what we can tell you is that, you know, Yahya Jammeh is bent on setting the Gambia on fire. He has always, you know, had that intention. He was just not given the opportunity to do it. And now he's showing his true colors. You know, when he's backed into a corner, he's trying to show, actually showing everybody who he really is. Yahya Jammeh was never a patriotic citizen. He never loved the Gambia. He was just hiding behind that word, just as he hides behind everything else to, you know, maintain his rule. Whatever he needed to do, he did just to stay in power. That's all he cared about. He never cared about the Gambia or the people of the Gambia. Because we all know the elections were free and fair. He even said it. And then a week later, you turn around and say the things you said, that you're not going to accept the situation in the country. That's just sad. And now the country is about to be set on fire and you're still sitting there saying that, you know, you didn't lose the elections. So for those of you that have the courage to stay there, I say, you know, we wish you all the best, and not to scare anybody, but I don't think this is going to turn into anything like we've seen in other countries, like a civil war. The situation is Yahya Jammeh lost an election, and according to the Gambian constitution, he had to step aside for somebody else, who is Adama Barrow, to be inaugurated as the next president of the Gambia. That is the decision of the Gambian people, and Yahya Jammeh has refused to yield to that decision. Gambia is not an isolated country. We're part of an international. Sorry guys, a call was coming through. On Facebook Live, Sirifo. Kind young call din ko mbata me kuntula, so nyato demande rek. Yeah, so as I was saying, you know, the Gambian people made a decision. They don't want Yahya Jammeh anymore. There has been so much going on in the country since he took over in 1994. So when the Gambian people decided that they don't want Yahya Jammeh, he's using the, you know, force to stay in power. He has the military, he has all the weapons, and how are the citizens going to take on a tyrant like that? Which is why it is important for, you know, countries to be part of an international community, and that's what we are seeing now. ECOWAS, the Gambia is a member of ECOWAS, and, you know, ECOWAS is mandated to support the will of the people, and that is what they are going to do. They want to see Adama Barrow inaugurated because that's what the Gambian people decided. Yahya Jammeh is trying to use force, so they're showing him that your force is no match to the force of all of West African states combined, backed by the African Union and the United Nations, and any stakeholders in the most powerful countries that have any interest in Gambian affairs. So basically what's going to happen is them coming to take Yahya Jammeh out of State House and installing Adama Barrow, which is the will of the Gambian people. So if Yahya Jammeh resists, him and whoever stands in their way are the ones who are going to have to pay the price. So it's not like it's going to spill over in the streets and people, you know, being shot and killed and dying. Hopefully that's not what it is, and I don't think that's what it's going to be. What is going to happen is ECOWAS is coming to tell Yahya Jammeh, you need to step down, and they're going to bring military force to make him step down. If he decides to fight against them, then they will take the battle to him. And we know the soldiers in the Gambia are not 100% behind him. So this is where their loyalty comes in. You know, when the thing decides, I call him a thing because Yahya Jammeh has no conscience. He has no morals. He's just absolutely, I don't know, you can't describe him. People pleaded with you. Religious leaders pleaded with you. Even disabled people told you if this country should be set on flames, we wouldn't be able to run anywhere. We have blind people, we have handicapped people, where are we going to go? But the man has no conscience, so if I call him a thing, then, you know, that's what he is. So I don't care anymore anyway. So this man is just, you know, wanting to cling on to power regardless of what the people decide. So ECOWAS coming in is to, you know, install the Gambian people's will. And obviously he has some people behind him who are going to try to, you know, prevent that from happening. So the war is going to be, or the fight is going to be between them and the ECOWAS troops. So when that happens, they might decide to take it out onto the streets to the civilians that they've been oppressing for 22 years. They will continue doing that. So those patriotic soldiers that are in the Gambia and people in the armed services or security services, this is where you come in. Because the law and order will be broken down and you have to enforce it. If APRC supporters decided that they're coming out onto the streets like they did when the African Union leaders were coming to tell the ECOMOG, we want Yahya Jammeh, they're going to go out on the streets. They have no arms, so what they will likely do is attack ordinary civilians. But security forces, that's where you come in. Between ECOMOG and Yahya Jammeh, that's not a battle. That's just them coming in and taking him out. And we're glad that, you know, it is happening. At some point, Yahya Jammeh had to go out of the Gambia. Now that we did it through peaceful means, and we have to commend the Gambians. For 22 years, every time you talk, the Gambians will tell you, you know, Gambia is a peaceful country. We don't want any war. We don't want any fight. And Yahya Jammeh has used that love of peace to instill fear in the Gambians. Like I said at the beginning, he's never been sincere. He's never been patriotic. All he is greedy. He just wants to stay in power, amass as much wealth as he, you know, possibly can. Nobody needs to tell the Gambians how rich Yahya Jammeh is. GRTS says he donates their vehicles to, you know, to them. You are richer than the state. And when you came into power, everybody knows he was, you know, as poor as I am. But that's beside the point. The people that are running away, we, you know, say it's not going to be as bad as you think, but, you know, safety first. You can preserve your life. But Adama Barrow, who was the elected leader of the Gambia, and the, you know, supporters of the coalition, they are there, ready for the inauguration, and, you know, they're sitting out, watching it all unfold, and they are confident that this thing will be solved amicably. So at this time, like anywhere else in the world, what we need is leadership, and we follow their lead and, you know, listen to what they have to say. So we'll be praying for you, but like I said, not to try to scare anybody and to tell anybody to stay either. We're not going to do that. But what we can tell you is that Yahya Jammeh is going to go, and it's not going to be as bad as people think it is going to be. So from the beginning, Yahya Jammeh's strategy has been instill fear in the Gambian people, divide the Gambian people, and rule over them. That is the most insincere thing anybody can do. Like, people gave you an opportunity. When he came to power with talks of Jawara and the PPP being corrupt and living flamboyant lifestyles, we know nobody lives more flamboyant lifestyle than Yahya Jammeh. That's obvious. I don't know why the APRC supporters still think that Yahya Jammeh is good for the Gambia. You know, the man gets 10,000 from foreign donors. He gives Gambia 2,000 and keeps the 8,000. He's, you know, does all kinds of things to get rich. But still now you have Gambians who are bent on supporting this man, saying that he's good for the country. In what way? I don't know. But after all this while, it defies logic to try to talk to APRC supporters and, you know, give them reason to see otherwise, because they've already made up their mind. And when somebody makes up their mind, that's, what it is until they see otherwise. So right now, let's just keep our spirits up high and know that this thing is not going to be as bad as, most people expect. Ivory Coast, a much bigger country than the Gambia, more advanced army than the Gambia, with more interests outside than the Gambia. They went through this, but before the world could reach them, on the day of the election, that's when the violence started, which is why it got bad. But in the Gambia, we've had like over a month where people have been negotiating with Jammeh to step down. So in all that time, the people have been strategizing. ECOWAS has been strategizing because they knew this could happen. So they have all the modalities in place. And, it's hopefully, inshallah, it's going to be not too bad. There won't be any spillover in the streets. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So, like I said, to the APRC people who think Yahya Jammeh should still stay, like I said, it defies logic to talk to them. The Gambia is isolated right now. No country in West Africa or in Africa in general. Hey, Bob, Bax, long time, man. No country in Africa and the world supports Yahya Jammeh's stance. Everybody's against him. AU told him, you're going to be an ex-president, maybe a late president, hopefully, come January 19th. ECOWAS, we all know, are the people telling him to step down. All of Gambia's partners around the world support the decision of the Gambian people. So now APRC people want Yahya Jammeh to stay. To what cost? We've all seen when Senegalese drivers, because of all the ridiculous checkpoints in the Gambia, decide to stage a strike and close up the border, how Gambians suffer. So now you want to take that battle to the whole of West Africa and the whole world? Like, what sense does that make? On top of that, after Yahya Jammeh, the world decides to let it go and say, okay, let him stay. You have hundreds of thousands of Gambians that are against Yahya Jammeh. You think they're just going to sit down and fold their hands? So ECOWAS intervention is mitigating the loss of lives that will ensue if Yahya Jammeh decides to use the force of arms to stay in the country. So, we shouldn't see it as a bad thing. We shouldn't see it as, people trying to invade the Gambia, because that's what he's been talking about all these days. The Gambia is a sovereign country. When did he realize that? He thought the Gambia was his personal, kingdom, like it was his father's kingdom or whatever, and then he inherited it, and now everybody has to dance to his tune, and that is not going to happen. So like I said, people have been upset. 22 years people endured with Yahya Jammeh. They could have gone on the streets, they could have, organized guerrilla warfare, hit and run, bombing places, doing all kinds of things. But nobody did that. They endured, and to the extent of people calling Gambians cowards. Abroad, you meet people who you never knew. They say, oh, where are you from? I'm from Gambia. Oh, where is Yahya Jammeh? And then you have to bow down your head in shame because they know his shenanigans, his, stupid tantrums and ridiculous statements that he is always making on public television, on the world stage. People look at Gambians like, what are you doing about this guy? But we decided to take the civilized route because, the Gambia is a peaceful country. We're peace-loving people. We all care about each other. But, the elections came, we voted him out, and now he's saying he doesn't want to go. So where's all that patriotism you were talking about? It is never there. It was never there. So we don't even need to go into the details of that. So what we're saying is ECOMOG or ECOWAS coming is a welcome idea for Gambians, because if they don't come, Gambians will do it themselves. We know that for a fact. There are Gambians who, coming up to the elections, came to Senegal waiting to see if Yahya Jammeh wins, and if he did, they were coming into the country. Sidia Baye has been talking all this time, and people thought he was bluffing. But not just him, there were other people as well. So it's either ECOWAS comes in and mitigate that loss of life, or we take it onto the streets ourselves, those on the ground in the Gambia, because there are people that are so fed up, they will just do it. So we should all welcome this initiative and, pray that at the 11th hour, he will see sense, which he has not seen in the last 22 years. But, we can't lose hope that he might see sense and then, decide to step down or run away, because he's a coward. People who know him will tell you he's a coward. You see his strategy that he's using, because now he knows they've taken Adama Barrow out of the country. And some of you who are saying that he's running away and abandoning the country, he is not. Yahya Jammeh is dealing with seasoned politicians and strategists who know what they're doing. With Adama Barrow being out of the country, going to attend a heads of state summit, that would piss Yahya Jammeh off even more. They're telling him you know, without telling him in plain words that we don't recognize you anymore. This is the guy that the Gambian people chose, and that's the guy we're behind. On top of that, Senegal saying, as it is coming out on social media, that, you know, they can have him stay there until his inauguration day. That is taking him out of harm's way. That is one way of looking at it. But the other way of looking at it is that this man will be inaugurated, whether you like it or not. And because that started coming out in the news, Yahya Jammeh has sent more soldiers out onto the streets. Who are you going to fight? Maybe the citizens that you've been bullying all these years, you know. So those are all strategic moves that we can hope, you know, would bring about a change of heart from Yahya Jammeh, seeing that he's lost completely and Adama Barrow is out of reach for now. You know, what is he going to do? Turn on the citizens? You know, he's not that stupid, although he's proven time and again that he's irrational. But we'll see what happens. So for the past 22 years, that's what Yahya Jammeh has been using. Everything that is a Gambian value, he has cast aside. Now, a lot of people now, you know, complaining, you know, our elders are coming out now talking, where were they for 22 years? You know, there is a saying, like, before you humiliate an elder in our Gambian standards, you know, let him choose death. He will die. Like they say in Mandinka, Niko Keba Saya and Saya fella malofel. Like Saya time malutulari. You know, nobody wants to be humiliated. Yeah, Jammeh knows that, and that is how he got the elders where he wanted them to be. To either be in line with him or keep quiet as he did the things he did, because they would not have stood for it. So that is how Yahya Jammeh started, you know, isolating people. I've been making I started making videos kind of like in a documentary style, but I'm like writing a script, and as I'm writing it, I'm kind of making slides with narratives, and I'm putting it on YouTube. So you guys can check it out. Just type my name in YouTube and you'll see the video. I'm about to upload another one either today or tomorrow. So hopefully at the end of the day, we're gonna compile a story of Yahya Jammeh, looking at him from all angles. Yahya Jammeh versus the Constitution, Yahya Jammeh versus Gambian values, Yahya Jammeh versus religion. You know, don't be fooled by all those Quran toting and, you know, tasbih that he holds in his hand and wearing all those garments trying to be, you know, Muslim. He's not. Everybody knows that now. Yahya Jammeh, you know, Muslim is not about you go to the mosque and pray and, you know, every time you talk you say Billah wa la talai. That's not it. It is attitudes. Yahya Jammeh's attitude is thinking. Like you don't want him anywhere near you. That's the type of person he is. So all that talk about religion is fake. He has been deceiving Gambians all these years. Where he is not able to deceive, he intimidates people. And where he's not able to intimidate, he kills, he jails, he exiles people. Can you imagine a country like the Gambia with brains like, you know, I don't want to name any name, but you have a Gambian presiding as prosecutor of the ICC. You have a Gambian who headed the criminal tribunal for Rwanda. You have Gambians in high places in the world, and then you have people like Sidin Jai, who can even, I don't even know how to describe him, manning the affairs of the Gambia. You look at the composition of Yahya Jammeh's government is rife with incompetence. And that's another thing. He has tried to set the Gambia on fire and he has not succeeded. But after he leaves, he might succeed in doing that. So we all need caution right now. Talk to your friends, talk to your relatives, talk to your families, you know. The Gambia is bigger than all of us. There is nothing wrong with being proud of who you are. Nobody chose to be born a Mandinka or a Jola or a Fuller. We were just born into those tribes and then we were raised based on those cultures. So there's no need to hate anybody. Being proud of who you are is different from, you know, being arrogant. There's a big difference. Yahya Jammeh is arrogant. He thinks he's better than everybody else. And, you know, all these years, he's been plotting against the Mandinka because to him, that is his greatest threat. He doesn't care about the Jolas, he doesn't care about the Wolofs or the Fullers. All he cares about is himself. So because he wants to use that, if you're a Mandinka and you support the largest party, which is the UDP, then you're a tribalist. Nobody wants to be labeled a tribalist. So obviously that will get people away from the UDP and then to the APRC camp just so they don't want to be labeled a tribalist. It's kind of like, you know, when you're in America and you support Obama, they'll be like, oh, you're racist, that's why you support Obama, or you support Trump, and of course you're racist. That nobody wants to be labeled that. You know, that is part of the discussion. So when Yahya Jammeh attacks the Mandinkas because UDP is headed by a Mandinka, he knows without a an iota of doubt that Lawyer Dabo is not a tribalist, UDP is not a tribalist party, but he knows that will be to his advantage to say stuff like that. And a lot of the Gambians who are not educated politically would buy into that narrative. So when he leaves, now that he's throwing away this rhetoric like, when I leave, these people are going to come after you, the witch hunting, there is not going to be any witch hunting. Yahya Jammeh's government is rife with incompetence. People are in places they're not supposed to be. They have no clue what they're doing. That's why the economy is the way it is. That is why the morals are where they are. Nothing is working in that country. So we expect that he, will leave power. The next government comes and then absorbs all those people into the system. We're just having a repeat of what happened in the past 22 years. That's not going to change anything. His appointments were based on loyalty, to a large extent based on tribe as well. Like if you're a Jola, we have to say it. There is no, talk of tribalism or anything, not like trying to instigate anything. That's the fact. You look at Yahya Jammeh's composition of his government, you know clearly he is biased tribally. So if you put all those people in those positions that they are not competent to man, the new government comes and gets rid of them, he'll be like, you see, now they're attacking the Jolas. Why did you put them there in the first place when they are not qualified to be there? I'm not saying Jolas are not qualified to man position. Of course they are. Where they are qualified to be and they're in that position, kudos to them. We'll be the first people to speak out if we know that any particular tribe or group of people are being targeted by the new government. But that's not going to be the case. If all this talk about tribalism, say my connection is weak, so I don't know if you guys can hear the audio. Usually that's what happens when the connection is weak. So he's saying that, and we know, obviously, when the new government comes, they're going to do a cleanup where they will put competent people in competent positions. And when they get rid of those people that are incompetent, what is going to happen? They're going to accuse the new government of being tribalist because Yahya Jammeh filled these places with people. Some are qualified, but you can count them, maybe 5 or 6 people. And most of his appointments are political appointments. So if you are kicked out because you are incompetent, you got the position because of your political affiliations. There's nothing wrong with that. But some people who are still going to be crybabies will try to twist that and make it look like, oh, it's an attack against certain groups of people in the country. Don't fall for it, and let us not join that conversation. We all know the system needs cleanup. If there is any better demonstration of the unity of Gambians, it is the coalition. All people from all political spectrums, from all tribes in the Gambia. I can't even believe that we're talking about tribe in the Gambia. Like, when did we get to that? When did we ever start talking about tribe in the Gambia? It's like we've always been one people. We've always loved and cared for each other. There's no single Gambian that can say I don't have a relative in some other tribe. But this man came trying to tear down our country and make the Jolas feel like they are vulnerable people, make them feel like they are marginalized people and that they need to stand with him. Why did he not go and marry a Jola wife to start with if he is that patriotic? Just like he calls for patriotism on the Gambia, that was never in his heart. He is not loyal to the Jola tribe either. Yahya Jammeh is just loyal to himself, and he will put many people down as possible just to stay in power. Which is why he knows ECOWAS are coming for him. He is calling the National Assembly to do a retreat, or whatever they call it, from Monday until Thursday, which is when his mandate expires, and then the APRC supporters to come to Banjul to show their support, because when ECOWAS comes, they're going to go into Banjul. So there you go. He's going to have all those people there and say, look, they're killing our citizens, human shields. If you're an APRC supporter, stay away from Banjul. When these people come, they're going straight for Yahya Jammeh, and if you're in their way, they're going to trample upon you. And, that's their mandate. The Gambian people gave them the mandate because Gambia is a part of ECOWAS, and ECOWAS is loyal to the Gambian constitution, not to one president. He goes, somebody else comes, I don't know where he's going to go. So let us not fall for it. The battle has been won to get rid of Yahya Jammeh, but the rebuilding is going to be really, really hard. Adama Barrow is probably going to have one of the hardest jobs in the world because the Gambia is more divided than we think or than we know. There's a lot of talk going on. Like, you get on social media and make one comment about some issue, people jump on you from all angles and accuse you of all kinds of things. So we need to watch out for that. We need to be on guard just to make sure we don't have another Yahya Jammeh in the Gambia. But let us exercise caution as well and know that this man has a very difficult job when he comes into power. And the good thing about that is he has all the brains in the Gambia behind him. You know, he will not have to worry about political division in the country anymore, because all the political parties are in the same camp. They put their heads together. And this is, you know, one of the blessings of God. Like, we are a nation of believers, whether you are Muslim or Christian, we're a nation of believers. It's one of the blessings of God that we have a unity party that took us out of Yahya Jammeh's hands. Imagine if we went to elections and UDP won, but then we have PDIs on one side, NCP on one side, you know, NRP on the other side. They'll all be looking at things differently. You know, one will be saying one thing here and the other will be saying the other thing there, and then our job will be even more difficult for us. So let us give some room to Adam Barrow and know that he has a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a very difficult job, even though he has all the brains in the Gambia in terms of politics and technocrats. It is going to still be a difficult job. So basically, like I said, it was going to be a short video. I've been writing some scripts, and I'm going to try and upload a video on YouTube. And when I do, I'll post it on Facebook, the link, so you guys can watch it. And then we exchange ideas. The next few years is going to be time for nation building, and we can all contribute in whatever little way we can. We can talk, we can write, we can, you know, show our talents, we can do cooking shows, we can open forums and have like a banter discussion where we talk about issues. But like I said, until then, it is a new Gambia, whether Yahya Jammeh likes it or not. Whether APRC people like it or not, it is a new Gambia. Gambia has decided, and we're going to move forward with our decision. We're going to defend it. You all be on the watch out, and forget about GRTS. If you're in the Gambia, don't watch GRTS. Yahya Jammeh is just going to come and make noise there. None of it is sincere. None of it is true. All it is to create confusion. But, you know, we have you all in our thoughts and our prayers, like anybody can think about anything else besides Gambia and what Yahya Jammeh is doing. So you all stay strong. It's all going to go well, and we'll be out of this unscathed as a nation. We'll come out on the other side smiling. The smile will return to the smiling cause. So like I said, once I get my video ready, which is kind of like a mini documentary series, I'll post the link, and you guys can take a look at it, give feedback. When the dust settles down, we'll put all those scripts together and create a proper documentary. Like I said, we will look at Yahya Jammeh versus the Constitution, Yahya Jammeh versus the people, Yahya Jammeh versus religious leaders, Yahya Jammeh versus all aspects of Gambian life that he has ruined. We will look at it from that angle, and that will be a learning opportunity for us. Because in some ways, Yahya Jammeh is good for the Gambia. Now, don't quote me wrong in that. Like, in some ways, it's good for the Gambia in that we learned a lot of lessons. So we're gonna go through those and you know, try to build a Gambia that is not gonna be conducive for the likes of Yahya Jammeh. So stay tuned, guys. Let us not forget about the Gambia. Let us not disconnect from the Gambia. Despite the hard times, this is when true patriotism shows. You know, we love our people, we love our country, and we want to see that it is going to be a better place for all of us. And we need to fight for that. It is us, and then the world will come to our aid. But if we don't do anything, nobody's going to help us out. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you all for watching. And I will upload this video as well. And I say to you all, Assalamu alaikum.